What's up, YouTube? It's your boy JPZ on the keys, and it's two Egypt video today, and we got a different video today. This is a history video, but this is not just about war. This is a different. We're looking at the different ships that have been used during the Navy during Napoleon's time. And if you didn't know by watching this channel, I'm a nerd. Okay, I like watching how things work, like the inner workings of everything. Like, I'm one of those who wants to learn about the inner workings of everything. Like, it really stemmed from me not knowing how to work on my car, not knowing what these parts are. I'm thinking to myself, if I'm paying for a car and I'm making payments on it, I should probably know what goes into this car and how this thing works, so I'm not stuck. So that really just intrigued me to learn more. Like, if you are a nerd, Discovery Plus is the best thing ever. I'm talking about extreme engineering, impossible engineering catastrophes, how it's made, Mythbusters, Bering Sea Gold, Deadliest Catch. Come on, man. All those shows are immaculately awesome. But we're going to look into the Victory. I think this is like the workings of the ship and how the ship was designed. So if you are a fellow nerd and you love history, you are in the right place. Like, I just noticed that my channel is really just a variety channel of a smorgasbord of everything. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But this is HMS Victory, the part 1. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. Also, check out my History's Biggest Villains I dropped today too. But let me know what other people y'all want me to do videos on, because I'm thinking about maybe next week, maybe Harold Shipman next week, probably. But I'll have to decide. But
1805. Britain is at war with France. The French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte will soon dominate mainland Europe. But at sea, Britain's Royal Navy reigns supreme.
Hopefully I'm not too loud. I hope I'm not too loud, bro. Never mind.
Year,
I did volume check.
Napoleon
We're
wins
good.
one of his greatest victories
We're good.
against the Russians and Austrians at Austerlitz. But 6 weeks earlier, off the coast of Spain, the British win a battle of much more lasting strategic significance.
Man, their navy back then was so much better than everyone else's.
The Royal Navy inflicts a crushing defeat on the combined fleet of France and Spain. Enemy losses are devastating. British naval superiority will not be seriously challenged again for the rest of the war.
They were too nice.
Britain goes on to play a leading role in Napoleon's eventual defeat. Its greatest contribution, its wooden walls. The Royal Navy. Britain is the world's largest naval power,
second rate, third
with
rate,
136
rate,
ships of the line,
fifth
and
rate,
110,000 men at
dang,
sea.
Bro, oh my goodness.
The Navy protects the homeland from invasion. It allows Britain to project force into Europe with raids and expeditionary forces. It cuts off enemy trade while protecting Britain's own.
Double-edged sword.
It isolates and seizes overseas colonies, including the vastly profitable sugar islands
did a whole
of the West
Indies. They did a whole lot of seizing.
It undermines enemy economies, while allowing Britain to use its own financial strength to sustain its allies.
That's funny.
In 2 decades of war with France, Britain wins a series of naval battles that ensure it can carry out these war-winning strategies effectively. Among the Royal Navy's most formidable warships,
how many sails that thing
HMS
has, man.
Victory, a first-rate ship of the line, the most powerful class of warship afloat. 104 guns, 820 men.
You put 820 men on one ship? 2 words. The smell. Oh my God, I can't even imagine how this smells. And this is 1805, because you know there's no proper plumbing, sanitation. Their views on sanitation was a lot less than what we think of now. They didn't even know germs existed back then. So just think of how that smelled. Like, oh my god, I can't even imagine how bad it smelled, and especially in the bottom of the ship, like underneath the ship. Ooh, ooh, I can't imagine.
A single broadside from Victory packs more weight of iron than every gun in Wellington's army at Waterloo. This is Epic History TV's guide to a legendary Napoleonic warship.
That thing looks so beautiful, man.
HMS Victory lies in dry dock in Portsmouth, on England's south coast, a famous visitor attraction and the world's oldest commissioned warship. She's a remarkable survivor from a vanished
Oh, you have the
world of
plugs to put in the
sail-powered
cannons to
warships
keep them
and
from
global
keep the elements
struggles
out.
between Europe's great empires.
Yeah,
Victory was
I mean,
built
obviously,
to boost
but
British
like just the
naval power
ingenuity
at the
required.
height of
It's
one
like-
of these struggles,
yeah.
the 7 Years' War. Construction began at Chatham Royal Dockyard in 1759. She was designed by Sir Thomas Slade,
Everybody
the
had them
foremost
wigs back
British
then.
naval
Everybody had
architect
the
of the
wigs.
age.
No, it wasn't your real hair, sir.
Around 6,000 trees went into Victory. Most were British oak, though her lower masts were originally New England pine. Her keel was elm, her upper masts and yards more flexible fir and spruce. The result, launched in 1765, was soon considered a masterpiece. A ship bristling with firepower, with the speed and handling of a much lighter vessel. Victory was not completed in time to take part in the 7 Years' War. She first saw action 13 years later in the American War of Independence,
Revolutionary
leading the
War.
capture of a French convoy off Ushant. When the Revolutionary Wars broke out against France, HMS Victory was the British flagship
talking about the
at the
American
Allied
Revolutionary
blockade of
Wars,
Toulon.
Yeah.
Then in 1797, she was Admiral Jarvis's flagship at his great victory over the Spanish at Cape St. Vincent. Victory was by then 32 years old, far beyond her life expectancy of 18 years. Worn out, she was briefly threatened with being turned into one of Britain's notorious prison ships, known as hulks. No one would have guessed that her greatest hour still lay ahead of her. Because at the last minute, Victory was reprieved and began a major 3-year refit that cost more
I'm
than
ready
she
to
did
see
to build.
the inner workings of this ship. I'm
She
ready to see what's
returned to
inside of this
service
ship.
in
I'm ready, bro.
1803 as Vice Admiral Nelson's flagship. 2 years later, she would lead the British attack at Trafalgar and win her place
Look at
in
all
naval
those
legend.
sails, and the fact that the sails are in different directions. So like maybe the wind can push you somewhere and you can turn. Bro, that's the anatomy. Let's go. Let's go. That's what I was
By
waiting
the
on.
Napoleonic Wars,
Let's
a
go.
first-rate ship of the line was the world's largest and most sophisticated weapon of war, and it needed a huge crew to work efficiently.
800
In
men.
1805, Victory's complement was around 820, every man and boy with his designated role.
The damn
From
smell.
the admiral of the fleet to the ship's captain, naval lieutenants and marine officers, midshipmen, warrant officers, clerks and stewards, petty officers and their mates, sailors of the able, ordinary, and landlubber variety, Royal Marines, right down to the 31 ship's boys.
That's a lot of people on that ship.
Before we examine HMS Victory's arrangement and structure, a quick reminder of some common nautical terms. The right side of the ship, starboard.
Okay.
The left side of the ship, larboard, which only became port in 1844 to reduce confusion. The back of the ship, her stern. The front, her stem.
Stern,
Towards
stem.
the stern was aft
Stern,
or
stem.
abaft. Towards
Starboard,
the stem was
port.
forward or fore.
Got it. I mean, I knew this from
Victory's
Deadliest
middle
Catch, but
gun
like,
deck
you know.
was 186
had to make
feet
sure I knew.
long. The top of her main mast was 205 feet above the waterline. Victory's top speed was 10 knots,
10 knots.
or 11.5 miles per hour, fast for a ship her size. In 1780, she received the latest British naval innovation, copper sheathing for her hull. This protected her timbers from shipworm, barnacles and weeds, keeping her solid and streamlined. Victory, like all ships of the line, was ship-rigged, meaning she had 3 masts, a foremast, mainmast and mizzenmast, and a bowsprit. Each mast was made up of sections. The lower mast, secured deep in the ship's hold, rose up through the decks to the fighting top, which served as a platform for sharp...
look at all those ropes intertwined. Look at just the detail of how they tied all the ropes, and the thing is, every tie has a purpose. It's not just any miscellaneous arrangement. All this has a purpose in holding the mast up and keeping them straight. Just the amount of planning and design and engineering required to have that all these ropes come together and all these ropes serve a purpose is just unbelievable, man.
Shooters in battle.
It's unbelievable,
above it,
bro.
the topmast. Then the cross trees, which secured the top gallant mast, pronounced togallant.
And people were shooting from on top of that mast with the ship pitching like that?
There being no crow's nests
Your aim gotta be crazy.
Each mast supported several yards, to which the sails were fastened or bent. Victory's rigging, 26 miles of rope and 786 pulleys in all, came in 2 types. Standing rigging gave structural support to the masts. Forestays and backstays kept them braced fore and aft. The shrouds secured the masts laterally, and their rope steps, called ratlins, were how you climbed the masts.
Wow.
Experienced seamen reached the tops by climbing the futtock shrouds. On a rolling sea, this could mean climbing out over the ocean upside down.
Oh, y'all different.
So novices were advised to use the lubber's hole.
The lubber's hole. Even that's dangerous.
The other type of rigging was running rigging, used to operate the ship's yards and sails, and included halyards, bowlines, and clewlines.
Just intertwined. That's unbelievable.
Victory had 37 sails with which to harness the power of the wind, her only real form of propulsion. They had a total area of 6,500 square yards, about the size of a football pitch, though not all sails could be set together, nor did more sail necessarily mean more speed. Her large square sails included the forecourse, 4 topsail, pronounced topsail, and 4 top-gallant sail, pronounced fore-to-garn'sail.
Fore-to-garn'sail, fore-to-topsail.
On the mainmast, the main course, main topsail, and main-to-garn'sail.
Main-to-garn'sail.
The mizzenmast carried a fore and aft rigged sail known as a spanker or driver.
It looks kind of like a rudder in a way, somewhat. Like a rudder for an actual ship.
While the bowsprit could carry a variety of fore and aft rigged sails, most commonly a jib and flying jib. Another 11 fore and aft rigged sails, known as staysails, could also be set.
Wow. I wonder if they probably move with the wind anyway, like a direction.
Was actually several decks: the forecastle, waist, quarterdeck, and poop deck.
The poop deck. The poop deck.
The forecastle is a shortened form of forecastle, a term dating back to the Middle Ages when warships carried raised fighting platforms at both ends. The forecastle housed the belfry, containing the all-important ship's bell, rung regularly day and night to mark the change of watch. It also housed 2 12-pounder guns.
Okay, the cannons, of course.
All guns in this period were described by the weight of shot they fired. So 12-pounders fired a solid iron ball, known as round shot, that weighed 12 pounds.
Yeah, 12
about the
shot.
same as a bowling ball.
Yeah.
The forecastle also mounted 2 68-pounder carronades. The carronade was another British innovation.
Fam, imagine getting hit with a 68-pound cannonball. You get hit with a 68-pound cannonball, you are done. like, I mean, even the 12-pound cannonball will leave a hole like this big. Like the 68-pound cannonball will leave a hole like this, like taking off limbs. Even that would do something to a ship. Think about how multiple cannonballs of that size, what they would do to the hull of a ship. Like mad holes in there, water just be flowing in and sink the ship immediately. Like 68-pound cannonball hurling towards you. And that's unbelievable, man.
A short, large caliber gun, fearsome at close quarters, but lacking a cannon's range or accuracy.
It's like, that's the big guns. The
beak
big guns.
deck gave access to the bowsprit and the head. 6 outdoor toilets for several hundred seamen and marines, which emptied straight into the sea below.
That smell, though. God
the waist
dang.
is where 4 of Victory's 6 boats were stowed. All large ships carried several boats. They were essential for ferrying men and supplies from ship to ship and ship to shore, for towing or turning the ship in adverse winds, and for launching amphibious attacks.
Yeah.
The quarterdeck was HMS Victory's command center and housed a total of 12 12-pounder guns.
Okay.
From here, the ship was steered using the ship's wheel. This was the responsibility of one of the ship's 8 quartermasters,
Like,
assisted by his mates.
what is the field of vision out of that?
The wheel was
What is the
connected
field
by
of
rope
vision,
to the
though?
tiller 3
Like when you're
decks below,
steering it.
which was in turn connected to the rudder.
Oh, like a pulley. It's like a
The
pulley
binnacle,
system, like a
just
winch.
4 of the wheel, contained the ship's magnetic compasses and a lantern by which to see them.
Oh, so you can see all the
Cabins
time.
for the captain's secretary and the ship's master
Oh,
were located either
okay,
side
yeah,
of the ship's wheel.
Yeah. Smart.
Each shared their small room with a 12-pounder gun.
Yep. I got a
The
cannon in my
stern
room.
area of the
How about
quarterdeck
you?
comprised the captain's cabins, a dining room, sleeping cabin, and at the very stern of the ship, his day cabin. All sharing space with 4 12-pounders. The captain also had a private toilet, known as the quarter gallery.
Had his own toilet. You peasants.
Above the captain's cabins, the poop deck, which provided good visibility and access to the mizzenmast. It also housed the signal locker, containing the coloured flags used to communicate with other ships and shore. The Royal Navy's signals
I was
code
wondering what those
has been
flags
recently
stood for.
revised by Admiral Howe. His system involved 14 flags, which could be arranged in various combinations to convey 340 messages.
340?
For emphasis, a gun might be fired.
Dang, bro. 340.
At night, signalling was by pre-agreed combinations of gunfire, coloured lanterns, and rockets.
Oh, that's tough. I like that. I like that. That's smart.
A Napoleonic ship of the line was, in essence, a giant floating gun battery designed to pulverize enemy warships and shore installations.
Oh my god, imagine 100, all them guns firing at
Victory's
once.
3 largest decks were all about her guns, as indicated by their name, the upper, middle, and lower gun deck.
Okay, that makes sense.
The upper gun deck housed 30 12-pounder guns, 15 on each side. Forward in the round houses was the head for junior officers, rank bringing
Oh, he got his
slightly
own
more
toilet
privacy
too!
and comfort.
Ooh.
The sick bay was located in the forward area of the upper gun deck,
That's
as
the
it got more fresh
That's
air
the
and sunlight
quarantine room.
than the lower decks.
Quarantine room.
It was screened off from the rest of the deck by canvas partitions. The surgeon's assistants, nicknamed Loblolly Boys for the soup they fed to patients, also slept here in their hammocks. HMS Victory was a first-rate ship of the line, defined as one that carried 100 guns or more. They were the most powerful vessels afloat, and so admirals often chose them as their flagships, the command vessels for a fleet or squadron. Several renowned British admirals took Victory as their flagship at various times, including Earl Howe and Earl St. Vincent.
Oh, I'm looking up what loblolly was, and it's basically any type of scraps that you can, like any type of edible scraps that you can find, and that you would just mold into a soup. Like you would just throw it into some one big stew. Like, okay, we got some pork, we got some type of vegetables. we got something to make a broth, so we're just gonna throw it into some big stew. Yeah.
The most famous, of course,
I mean, that's all they had, really. Not like they had a stove and microwave and
Admiral
stuff.
required his own suitably grand quarters,
He got
located in the stern
bed?
section of the upper gun deck.
You see that bed?
These comprised an anteroom and a dining room, which also served as a meeting room. In the sleeping cabin, the Admiral usually slept in a suspended cot, but Nelson preferred a campaign bed.
That man
like
got
this
a gun
one,
right next.
easier
He
to
got
get
Kenny
in
right
and
next to
out
the
of
bed.
with only one arm.
That man ready. As soon as he get out of bed,
At
he
the
ready
very
to shoot.
stern lay the Admiral's day cabin, which served as his office and private space. The Admiral would spend much of his day here, submerged in the meetings, paperwork and administration required in the running of a fleet. The Admiral's cabins, like all cabins on the gun decks and quarterdeck, were formed by removable wooden panels. This meant when a ship cleared for action before battle, the cabins could be rapidly dismantled and carried, with furniture and personal items, down into the hold.
Yo, that's fire! I'm sorry, like that might seem so basic, but that makes so much sense that it's amazing. Like, now you got all this room to shift guns around and shift people around without all having to go through all these panels. Like, that's hard. I'm sorry. That is tough. I like that. Like, the engine, that's a great thought, because when everyone's scrambling to get to their specific gun, like, you don't got time to, like, oh, we got to remove the panels. Oh, I got to break through a panel. Like, nah, we can just remove them. Now we got all this clear space underneath the deck. Like, that makes sense. It makes so much sense.
The purpose of this was to allow the gun crew
I love when stuff makes so much sense.
to work their guns without obstruction.
Right.
The middle gun deck housed 28 24-pounder guns.
24-pound guns.
Heavier guns were lower in the ship for greater stability.
They had greater these are the best
The ship's
range
galley,
guns after
a
all the ones
kitchen
I've
and
seen.
giant iron stove was where the ship's cook and his
Oh, that's the stove. They
prepared
actually do have a
meals for the
stove
crew.
there. Okay, you have a stove and all that.
The stern section was known as the wardroom,
Wardroom.
where commissioned officers dined and slept.
Okay.
At night, around 300 sailors and marines slept on this deck, their hammocks strung up between the guns.
Oh my God.
The deck below
all them
was
cots,
the lower
all them
gun
hammocks
deck.
hanging up on the wall.
This housed the Victory's heaviest guns,
Oh my.
her 32-pounders. And at night, more than half the crew, around 460 men, slept here.
Close proximity, you right
This
on top of
plan
each other.
HMS Bedford, a contemporary third-rate ship of the line, shows how crowded it could be below decks.
Oh my goodness. You got
This
no
far
space.
down in the ship, gun ports were usually kept shut because they were close to the waterline. With little fresh air and so many men living down here, the smells of the lower gun deck could be notoriously challenging. The stern area
You know, you know they wasn't taking no baths like that back then either. So, that smell, ooh-wee.
separated by canvas screens, was known as the gun room. This was where warrant officers dined, with screened-off sleeping quarters for the master gunner, chaplain, and 2 junior lieutenants. They shared the gun room with the ship's tiller, a large wooden beam connecting the ship's rudder to the ship's wheel via a series of ropes and pulleys.
Oh, like he would.
The
it would
tiller is
pull
not
the wheel
currently in
and
situ,
go.
but the strip of canvas marks its position. The beam would swing through the room when the ship turned, so anyone dining in the gun room was wise to mind their head.
Oh hell no! I ain't doing
Below
that. Get
the
out of
lower
there.
gun deck was the orlop deck, a warren of small cabins and stores beneath the waterline, lit only by lanterns. The forward section contained storerooms and cabins for the bosun and carpenter. The more open area by the main mast was known as the cockpit, fore and aft.
Like when I think of this, I'm always thinking like, how did they keep the water from seeping through? Because water will, like any liquid, will try to find whatever type of hole or crevice, the type of sea. I wonder what type of things they used to seal the wood back then. because as you keep running the wood through the water, the wood is going to rot eventually. So, like, how do you prevent that from, how do you prevent the water from seeping through the wood as it rots? You know what I mean? Or unless they had some type of protection over it. Maybe I might be thinking too much into it, but,
The midshipmen berthed and messed here, but in battle, it became the surgeon's operating theatre.
Oh, God.
At the Battle of Trafalgar, after Vice
They
Admiral
said we're gonna work on you
Nelson
right on
was
the
shot
ship.
on the quarterdeck by a French sharpshooter, he was carried down to the orlop. Victory's surgeon was unable to save him, and this is where he died.
Damn.
Off the aft cockpit lay a series of cramped compartments, including personal storerooms for the captain and first lieutenant, the steward's room for issuing rations brought up from the hold, the surgeon's cabin and his dispensary, and various other cabins and storerooms.
Wait, that's a bread room in the back? I guess that might be like the stern side. I'm telling you, man. I'm always wondering, like, how do they keep water from seeping in and like making the bread soggy and then getting mold on the bread? You know what I'm saying? Because water brings germs and bacteria. Like, I don't know. I just have so many questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did they do this? How did they do that? How did they do this? I feel like they're going to be answered. So anyway, let me just watch. Let me just keep watching. I done paused too many times already.
Forward and aft, hanging magazines held ready-made cartridges for the guns sent up from the main magazine. The orlop deck was surrounded by a passage known as the Carpenter's Walk, which gave the carpenter and his mates easy access to the ship's hull to plug any leaks.
Okay. They knew how to plug.
At the
Okay,
very
they had a
bottom
system
of the
to plug
ship
leaks up.
lay
Okay.
the hold, around 50,000 cubic feet, holding provisions for up to 6 months at sea. It was lined with 257 tons of iron ballast to keep the ship stable.
Facts, yeah, weigh it down.
This was covered by 200 tons of shingle, additional ballast,
Yeah.
which provided a stable bed for the ship's 150-gallon water casks.
Okay.
These alone weighed roughly 300 tons at the start of a voyage. Other barrels contained 50 tons of salt beef, 50 tons of salt pork, and 45 tons of ship's biscuit.
Yeah, because
Various
salt was the only way they could
storerooms
preserve food
below
back then. There wasn't no
contained items such as
refrigerators.
flour,
They just used
spirits,
salt to
tar,
preserve
and
food.
paint.
I remember. Yes.
The shot locker contained 100 tons of iron shot.
Yeah.
Last but not least, the most vulnerable part of the
Yes,
ship,
the freaking
Grand
gunpowder.
Magazine, holding up to 35
Yes.
tons of gunpowder and 784 barrels. A fire here would cause an explosion that obliterated the
Yes.
ship.
Y'all would be
aboard.
dead. Y'all would be
Or
dead.
if water got in, the gunpowder would be useless in
Yeah.
battle.
Can't use wet gunpowder.
Therefore, elaborate precautions were taken to keep the magazine safe,
Let me see what they
including
did.
fire doors, fire-retardant plaster walls, copper sheathing to avoid sparks, and keep out moisture and rats.
Oh.
The forward
So it's like a copper layer on top of the. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
section of the magazine was the filling room. Here, loose gunpowder was scooped from this powder bin into cloth bags to make cartridges for the guns. Lanterns were kept safely behind glass in an
Smart.
adjacent light room.
That's so smart. That's so
Until
smart.
required, ready cartridges were stored in racks on either side of the filling room.
That's so smart, dude.
In an age before steam or electrical power, all the ship's heavy lifting had to be done by manpower.
Facts.
Mechanical assistance came from 2 capstans, the main capstan and gear capstan. These were effectively giant winches, which extended vertically through the middle and lower gun decks. To turn them, bars were inserted into the capstan head, with up to 10 men pushing each bar.
So like that's how they pulled
Using
stuff.
both decks, this meant 260 men were working
they
the
had to
capstan for the
literally
heaviest
winch it.
jobs, such as raising the main anchor
Yeah,
or
raise the
hoisting a
anchors, had to
gun.
winch the anchors.
The work was often accompanied by a fiddler, a shanty, and the stamp of feet.
I can imagine how crazy it was to lift a
Victory
heavy
carried
behind
7
anchor like
anchors
that.
in total. The heaviest, the best bower anchor, weighed 4 tons and was rigged at the
A
starboard
4-ton
bow.
anchor, bro?
The small
Y'all-
bower anchor on the larboard side was only slightly smaller. Sheet, kedge and stream anchors served as spares and for keeping the ship stationary in small harbours or rough weather. All wooden ships leak at sea,
Of course.
even before hulls are split by cannonballs or hidden reefs.
Yeah, like rocks or whatever is
Victory
underneath the
had
water.
4 crank-operated chain pumps, which could pump water out of the ship at approximately 1,300 gallons
Oh,
per
yeah,
minute,
they had pumps
about
already
300
on the
jerry
ship?
cans worth. She also had 2 elm pumps
Or the manual
for
pumps,
pumping
like the-
seawater into the ship for washing and putting out fires.
Yeah.
In the late 18th century, HMS Victory and ships like her were the most sophisticated and advanced machines in the world. Massive floating batteries that could remain at sea for 6 months or more and traverse the globe. In the Revolutionary and Napoleonic
Hey, look at all
Wars,
them holes in
they
the
battled for
sails.
naval supremacy.
Damn,
Most
look at them
dramatically,
holes in the
with
sails,
giant
bro.
fleet actions.
Oh my god.
It was a contest that Britain won decisively. The consequences for Napoleon were disastrous.
That Navy was too much for
But
him.
for all Victory's qualities, it was not
That man
ship
could- that
design
man could
that
do all
gave
he-
Britain the edge.
That's the crazy thing. Napoleon could do all he wanted on land. Like, he was destroying folks on land. But anything on water, you ain't got a chance in hell on water with this Royal Navy that Britain had. Because the Royal Navy was the best Navy in the world. The most sophisticated stuff. This was high tech during this time. This was high tech engineering. And most people didn't know what to do with that.
In the war at sea, it was the men who sailed her. British commanders and crews were experienced, capable and aggressive. In the next video, we'll see how they sailed and fought a ship like Victory.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for that.
And how they lived
I'm ready
aboard
to
her.
watch that. I'm ready to watch that.
Our deep thanks to the National...
Bro, my freaking nerd brain just exploded during this whole episode. I'm sure you've seen it. My nerd brain just exploded. Like, bro, like when bro, when they showed the retractable panels, like, bro, I'm like, that's so smart. Then when they kept the lanterns in a separate room, so there was no chance of them dropping on the floor and igniting anything. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that makes so much sense. Like, my nerd brain just like exploded all in my head right now. But I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. But thank you so much for supporting. I really appreciate y'all supporting the channel. I really do. Like, this is one of my outlets right here, just getting on YouTube and recording videos. And I appreciate that y'all like what I do. I appreciate the people that support me. I appreciate the people that share my content. I appreciate the people that are subscribed to the channel. I appreciate the people that are going to subscribe in the near future. You know what I mean? I appreciate everybody that comes to the channel just because. Like, y'all are the best. Like, I really am grateful and I'm thankful for everyone who even comes over to watch my channel. You know, but without further ado, thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video as much as I did, leave a like, please. Leave a like, please. I would like a like, you know what I'm saying? If we get 5 likes on this video, I'm going to do part 2. Okay, did you get the goal? 5 likes for part 2, everybody. 5 likes. 5. Okay, that might be a lot. There might be a lot of likes, but you know, I think we might be able to do it. 5 likes, everybody, for part 2. Hit that subscribe button if you're new as well. Also, turn on my post notifications, because YouTube is kind of weird with the post notices. Because, like, even though some people might have all on, YouTube still might not notify them. I don't know why. But anyway, thank you. Please be safe. Have a great day. Stay on the grind. Be safe. I'm out. Peace.